Good evening, and thank you for coming. The on-scene portion of the investigation will be closing within a few days, and because of that, this will be the last formal daily press briefing that we will have. So let me talk about some of the things that came out in today's investigation. First of all, I'm going to start by giving you some of the timeline numbers. And I'm using local time, and these are all 7 minutes after, so I won't repeat that. First one is 10 o'clock, 10:07, 19 seconds, the release from the mothership. 21 seconds, engine start. At 29 seconds, we're showing preliminarily 0.94 Mach. 2 seconds later, 31 seconds, 1.02 Mach, and in that period of time, the telemetry data shows that the feather went from locked to unlocked. Soon after that, the feather itself began to deploy. 7 minutes, 34 seconds, the telemetry and video data were lost. So that's the timeline that we have so far. Let's talk about parts on the desert floor, continuing to move parts from the desert into hangars as a more friendly environment and to reduce the burden on the Sheriff Department to protect the sites. So we're continuing also the cleanup of the sites with parts that we don't need to move to hangars, but just to clean it up. We're beginning to find parts and hearing reports of parts as far away from the original 5-mile site that I mentioned, the northeast-southwest orientation of the 5-mile site. We're beginning to find small, lightweight parts as far as 30 to 35 miles northeast of that section. We don't know to what extent those parts originally went there or to what extent the prevailing southwest wind blew them there after they came to the ground. The largest piece remains is a fuselage wing piece, and that one is large enough that in order to remove it from the site, we'll have to cut it into smaller pieces. So we will carefully do that in order not to damage the evidence as in the cutting process. So I want to thank the Kern County Sheriff's Department again for allowing us to use their helicopters to help with the search for parts. In terms of data, we continue to review the numerous data sources. This was a test flight, and as a result of that, it was rich with numerous data sources, and we're now in the process of converting many of those data sources to forms that we can take back with us to continue our analysis of them in our lab in Washington, D.C. We're also beginning a check of the systems in the spacecraft for integrity and to verify normal operations, such as the environmental control system, the pneumatic system, the electrical system, flight controls systems such as that. We are continuing our interviews. Those should be done fairly soon because we had quite a few witnesses to interview. In the course of the investigation, we saw the need to form a new group, which we just formed today, the Human Performance Group, to look at the human system interface, the interface between the flight crew and the vehicle, to look at issues such as displays, checklist design, other issues relating to the interface between the flight crew and the vehicle. Before I close, I would like to give thanks to the parties to this investigation for all the help they gave, Virgin Galactic, Seal Composites. Would also like to thank the Mojave Air and Spaceport for allowing us to use the facility on this airport, and including where we are standing right now. The FAA, another party, was very helpful. The FBI has been very helpful to us in a number of ways, and then last but not least, as I mentioned, the Kern County Sheriff's Department has been tremendously helpful in a number of ways. So this is the last regular press briefing that I'm going to give. The investigation will continue for several months. The process in the investigation is that the parties continue to work together to develop the factual portions of this investigation. Once the factual development process is complete, then we go to the analysis, and at that point, we do the analysis alone in order to make sure that the analysis is not biased. We invite parties, once we put the facts on the website and make them available to the public, we invite parties to submit their own analysis, and we invite actually the public to look at those facts if they wish and submit an analysis. But the only official analysis that's done is the one that we will do. And we anticipate the typical time frame for an accident like this. It may be helped by the rich data sources that we have. We may be able to move a little more rapidly, but we would anticipate taking as much as 12 months to complete the analysis, which would end up with a probable cause determination as well as recommendations, once we know what went wrong, recommendations to try to keep that from happening again in order not to have an incident like this again. There will be factual updates from DC as events warrant, and please feel free to check our website, ntsb.gov, and our Twitter feed at NTSB for updates at your leisure. That ends my last press briefing. I would like to open to questions. Yes, please.
Were you able to interview the pilot today?
The question is, were we able to interview the pilot today? We were not able to interview the pilot today. We will work with his medical care and his family to arrange that interview when he's ready to be interviewed. Yes, please.
Have you been able to review the flight card that lays out when exactly things are supposed to be done during the flight? And do you have any information on when that feather was supposed to be, when the unlock mechanism was supposed to be done?
The question is, have we been able to review the flight card that describes when things were supposed to occur, and do we know when the feathering action was supposed to be taken? We do know that the flight card indicates that once they start accelerating after engine start, the flight card says do not unlock the feather unlock until Mach 1.4. So that we do know that much, and we are reviewing the flight card as part of the human performance group. So that will be part of the investigation. Yes, please. Yes, please.
I believe you said that at a certain time the telemetry went from lock to unlock. Is that correct?
Yes.
What does that mean exactly? Can you expand on that?
There is a two-step process for deploying the feathering system. The feathering system is the articulation of the aircraft that I showed yesterday with the model. The two steps are move the lock-unlock lever from lock to unlock, and the second step is engage the feathering lever itself. So I was talking about the first step, moving the lock to unlock lever from the lock position to the unlock position. That's the event that according to the processes is not supposed to occur in the acceleration process until the vehicle has reached Mach 1.4.
Are they done by the same operator?
Yes, go ahead. Pardon?
Does the same operator perform that function, pull both those levers?
The question is, does the same operator perform both of those two functions? And that's one of the things our human performance group will look into, is who does what. Yes, please.
Two questions. How many seconds after engine start does spaceship reach Mach 1.4?
I don't have the information on Mach 1.4. The closest I have on that is when it reached Mach 1.02, and that's what I have is 31 seconds after 7 minutes 31 seconds. The release time was 7 minutes 19 seconds.
Thanks. And the check of the environmental controls, pneumatics, and flight controls, is that normal, or do you have some reason to look at that?
That's normal, that we want to check the systems to make sure, to check the integrity and make sure everything was functioning properly. I'm sorry, I didn't repeat that question. Is it normal to check the systems? And the answer is yes, that is typical.
Do we know whether
Yes, please.
Do we know whether the data that the co-pilot was seeing was accurate? Did it indicate a 1.04? Might it have indicated a higher speed?
The question is, do we know whether the data that the co-pilot was seeing was accurate? That is part of the systems check, because one of the systems is the glass cockpit items that the flight crew would have been looking at. Two more questions? Yes, please, in the back.
So, I'm not completely clear on some of this. The timeline that you gave from 31 to 34, is it sometime within 31 to 34 that the unlock occurred? Because you said at 34 the video and data was lost.
The unlock occurred sometime between 7:29 when the vehicle was at 0.94 Mach and 7:31 when the vehicle was at 1.02 Mach.
Do we know whether it was a pilot or co-pilot who did it?
We know that it was the person in the right seat. We're determining who was pilot and who was co-pilot. That's what we're determining. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry, I didn't repeat the question. Do we know who who moved the lever from lock to unlock? And the answer is the person in the right seat.
Is that the kind of question you need the pilot interview for?
The question is that the kind of question we need the pilot interview for? That is certainly one of the questions we will ask in the pilot interview. One last question, please.
Well,
Yes, please.
Just a clarification. Yesterday you were very clear. You said the co-pilot. Are you backing off of that?
I have found out that no, I'm saying the right seat person. What I don't know is whether the right seat person was the co-pilot or the pilot.
Yesterday you said the co-pilot.
And I was mistaken about identifying that person because I don't know whether it was the pilot or the co-pilot.
So the video in the cockpit doesn't show the person doing it?
Last question is the video in the cockpit doesn't show the person doing it. The video in the cockpit does show that the person in the right seat moved the lever, the unlock lever from lock to unlock.
But you can't see who
So,
that is.
thank you for,
Sir, I'm sorry, but, you know, the very first press conference, you said the person in the right.
I was mistaken in identifying that person.
Earlier in that, you said the person in the right-hand seat is the one who survived. So there's some contradictory information. Maybe you could clarify a little more?
I'm not sure of that now either. That's, the question was which person survived, and I don't know the answer to that either, but we will know that in the course of the investigation. Thank you very much. Appreciate the